Hello, this is Michelle with the Glimmers of Intuition. I just wanted to remind you that stories are not facts. And what I mean by that is you get a fleeting thought and you automatically identify with it. Rather than identify with it, kind of just take a pause and think about, where you're wanting to be rather than where you're at. And when you start taking these pauses, it's not only are you taking a pause, but there's science behind it. You're allowing your mind to see other trajectories, other possibilities. And when we do this, we're training our brain to kind of see more than what is currently in front of us. Because a lot of times we take what is in front of us as the Holy Grail. It's the gospel of what is true for us. And that is where we get into cycles, and that is where we get into, the same old, and when you're at a point in your life where you're done with what you've been experiencing, rather that be in finance, rather that be in love, career, it can go for anything. When you finally have had enough and you decide that, you want certain things in your life to work out, you just need to have that awareness of deciding and then continuously going back to what you've decided on. Not that it's a one and done, not that you're not going to have moments where you're going to have fleeting thoughts, but also remember too, you are not those fleeting thoughts. You are only the thoughts that you identify with. So every moment is a new moment. So if you decide that you are not broke anymore, you are not. And you continue to build on that. And I'm not saying to stop paying your bills but how we build a new identity is that we less identify with the old one. And it's very systematic in the sense that I'll give you an example. When I went through my divorce, oh gosh, what year is it now? It's been about 8 years since that has all kind of gone on. And by doing that, I have been really fortunate in the sense that I got divorced because I didn't want my daughters to be in the type of marriage that I wanted to be in. And also, too, I didn't want to be in that type of marriage anymore. So by doing so, I had to go through what was called 2 injunctions for protection because my ex-husband was just not having it and he was being very erratic. And long story short, I got my divorce. And then I went to what was called like a support group, which was like an outpatient for domestic violence survivors, which I'm so grateful I did that. But there came to a point where I stopped going to those meetings. Not that I felt that I was like not part of that. I just wasn't identifying as a victim anymore. I was identifying as someone who is empowered. And even though that marriage didn't work out for me, it doesn't mean that love doesn't work out for me. Even though I was financially abused, that's not where my truth was anymore. And by doing that, I have gone back to school. I have a freelancing business. I have a job that I enjoy. I have a lot more than if I would have stayed in the identity of the victim and that this was all happening to me and there's no other way. And I'm not saying, if you're in a domestic violence situation that, you have to think the way that I'm thinking. I'm not saying that at all. I am, however, just throwing out another perspective that, I thought a lot of stories about what was going on in my life as truth, and being on the other side of that and having real healthy love and having, financial security and having things that I had never had before, this is how I got there. And at first I, I kind of didn't realize what I was doing, but the more, you know, I'm very big on science and neuroplasticity, and I knew in my heart that once I got to where I was like safe, my girls were safe, we were all safe, that I wanted to help spread the word of how I did this so other people can do the same, because we're all here to experience abundance and connection and good things and not be kind of drawn into our past. We're here to grow and to evolve and experience life and, you know, everything that's great in it. So that's what today's message is about. And so just continue to identify and kind of have a little, like a powwow with yourself. Something I did was I sat down, and if I identified as somebody who was financially abundant, you know, would I be doing this? And, you know, writing is a really great tool in the sense, either if you journal, I do both. I journal, and I'm a girl of the 80s, Trapper Keeper girl. So I still have that pack of paper, and I write, and I keep like little binders, and it's just has helped me with my mindset, as silly as it sounds. So, but let me know in the comments, you know, what you're identifying as, because you're already it. So until next time, take care.